Okay, here is CIVIC. And when looking at this one, I usually try to get a bigger bird's eye picture view, and then I look for patterns. And this pattern really has to do with maybe a rounding bottom. Here's the handle. So we have a cup and handle pattern that broke out in a vertical fashion, which is quite common. And then after this kind of vertical fashion, it needs to correct. The profit takers needs to sell, and the sellers come in droves and try to take their little profits, which is perfectly fine. Let them do what they have to do, and yet they tried it twice here. So what's happening, in my opinion, is I see a bit of a fractal between this location and that location. And I'm really getting into the experience of the fractals playing significant role in cryptos, because cryptos are just such a more pure play of sentiment than the cruddy equities, which is so heavily manipulated by the high frequency trading bots, as well as front running of their clients by the banks. On top of that, the PPT always steps in to rescue the market, to goose the market whenever they can. So in a situation like that where there's such high manipulation, while it doesn't necessarily change the waves can be bent and stretched, which makes it further removed from reality, or further removed from the more directness of sentiment that it can be. So here we could look at two bull flags, I believe. One can be here. So we have bull flag 1. After the bull flag, because it's pointing downwards, it is bullish. The reason why it's bullish, you could call this almost a half-mast flag. You get a flagpole and it's pointing downwards because you have a lot of sellers in the beginning, and the sellers are coming in until you have no more sellers left, or very little. Very few of the sellers are left. And then price explodes, and the whole process repeats again. You can probably see this repeating again, and again as a fractal. And again, that lends to the explanation that I had given, that cryptos have very unique personality traits compared to the stocks. And that personality trait differentiation is a reflection of all the buyers and sellers, the population of buyers and sellers within the cryptosphere. And these buyers and sellers are basically displaying their sentiment, and the commonality of that sentiment, or the differentiation of that sentiment. The commonality of the sentiment could be reflected in the form of, for example, a lot of cup and handles, a lot of downward pointing symmetrical triangles, and a lot of jaws of wealth broadening patterns as well. The differentiation is within each coin you can find unique nuances or additional personality trait specific to that coin. And for CIVIC, you might see a trend where you see consistent bull flags being formed as you go. So here we can label this as a fractal 1. And the second one is a fractal number 2. Now, Remember, technical analysis is not a game of certainty. There is no such thing. Technical analysis is a game of probabilities. And yes, you can be wrong. No one is perfect. No one has a crystal ball. However, technical analysis to me is also a process of identifying as many probabilities from a boatload of or as many possibilities. It's a narrowing down process. It's a deductive process from a probability perspective. Therefore, when I identify a handful of probabilities, from that I select my primary and alternates. And in going through that whole process, you really truly increase the awareness that you have of the future price pathway possibilities. And in utilizing the fractals, I select their motion. By the way, what is a fractal? Fractal is a similar but not identical, not exact pattern, similar to your left hand and your right hand. And this similarity index can be higher or a little less. But in pattern, overall, the similarity can be quite visible. And between these two bull flags, well, if the first bull flag went this way, to the height equivalent to this vertical line, and this bull flag is about, let's say, twice as large in proportion, then I would place that vertical line on the bottom of the current bull flag, copy paste, put one right on top of it as well, like so. And I could delineate an approximation of the target of this bull flag if it does break out, and I believe it should. I believe I can expect that to occur. And if this breakout happens, the price level there will be at around 220. Now, what's one of the indicators that I use, and I don't use the RSI, I don't use Bollinger Bands, I don't use Ichimoku clouds, I don't use any standard deviations, whatever which is pretty much the Bollinger Bands. The only indicator that I use is a moving average converging divergence, MACD. And look, the MACD is highly oversold on this 4-hour chart. And that oversold nature tells me that a turn is about to happen. See how the blue line is curling up. And I find it difficult to see a crash scenario when it's so oversold. Now here's what's pretty important. Look at the price. High or lows? So between the two flags, we are getting higher lows. Now look at the MACD, we're getting lower lows. And that's called a positive divergence. And that's a good thing for the bulls. What it's saying is that it's pretty oversold. So sellers who had something to sell in CIVIC have sold. and they're about to leave. And there may be no more sellers left. Exactly what this pattern is depicting. A lot of sellers here, they keep driving the price down until there's no more sellers left. Until there are nothing but the buyers. And that is why price often explodes. So 220 could be the next target in my opinion. I hope this has been helpful. I am trying to utilize D2, which is a sister site to the Steemit, and trying to promote it. Easy to use as long as you're using Chrome browser. I don't think it works so well for the Safari or Internet Explorer or Mozilla. So if you have a hard time viewing this, let me know, and you should be able to at least see it in the Chrome. But I'll still be linking the YouTube links to it just in case as well. Okay, have a good day.